As long as there are comic book movies, there will be fan theories looking to add to them. Occasionally, these theories will pay off, as in the case of Spider-Man being the kid in Iron Man 2. That must have felt like a victory to the fans who pushed it, and it's a good thing for the community. After all, it means we get more fan theories. The problem with more theories, of course, is that a good deal of them are nonsense, and most will never feel the warmth of legitimization. But then, among even the most colourful and unbelievable are the seeds of good logic. In fact, some of them sound so compelling, you almost want them to be true. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and here are 7 MCU theories that actually improve the movies. Number 7. Spider-Man was a battle nerf. Quite why Spider-Man was brought in by Tony Stark for the airport battle in Civil War has been a subject of debate ever since. He's a barely trained, volatile child, and he doesn't really do a great deal in the fight. If anything, Stark recruiting him was just irresponsible. But what if he was actually brought in precisely because doing so was irresponsible? He was chosen consciously as a de-escalator to dampen the fight. As confirmed in Spider-Man Homecoming, Stark knew that his friend foes wouldn't fight a kid properly. He was well aware from the start that they would all pull their punches, and he called up Spidey to nerf the battle. It wasn't a case of him ruthlessly showing a child to his death, so much as it was actually a genius tactical move. Number 6. The Stark Dynasty has controlled almost everything that's happened. Some say that the Stark Dynasty has been aware of every major occurrence in the Marvel Cinematic Universe thanks to being in with the right people and keeping their eyes and ears firmly wide open. What if Tony Stark bugged the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier during the Avengers and therefore knew about Hydra's infiltration? Maybe that's why he was so keen to spend so much time with Bruce Banner, as both he and Banner were on the list created by Zola's algorithm to take out threats to the organization. And what if his father, Howard, hired Zola in the first place and commissioned the algorithm? What if he also started working with Anton Vanko because he knew Tony would be targeted in the future and believed that, together, they could develop tech to help protect him? It all makes a lot more sense than the Genius family simply doing silly things. Number 5. Nick Fury is psychic. Rather than just being a fixer who brings superheroes together to form the Avengers, Nick Fury is actually a superpowered individual himself. Specifically, he's precognitive. His preparedness goes beyond even the most tactically gifted humans. He has backups that would be inconceivable to even the most intelligent of minds. Whenever a plan calls for an outrageous Hail Mary, he's already got it covered. How else could he have allowances made to bring Coulson back from the dead? How else could he fake his death and successfully go off the grid? It's the only explanation. Maybe, and he keeps it hidden from the former paymasters precisely because he knows he'd end up being a guinea pig. Number 4. Loki lost on purpose. Here's a question for you. Why did Loki want to subjugate Earth during the events of the Avengers when his primary target has always been Asgard? The answer? His attack on Earth was a diversion designed to get him back to Asgard after his exile. And not only that, but his plot also included a continued alliance with Thanos, who would benefit from him losing and being transported home with the Tesseract. Loki losing to the Avengers was actually the best possible outcome for him. There's no way the trickster would be out-tricked by Black Widow to reveal his plan accidentally. He's the one manipulating her to get back home, and it's not like Loki has ever shown any inclination to take over Earth again since, even when he's sitting on Asgard's throne. Plus, he helped Thanos get the Tesseract out of the protective hands of S.H.I.E.L.D./Hydra and onto Asgard, where it would be easier for him to retrieve it, knowing Loki had a long con plan to take it over himself. Number 3. Stan Lee is the Watcher. There's a reason Stan Lee shows up in every MCU movie. He's actually Uatu, the Watcher assigned to Earth who has the power to intervene in mortal events, but usually doesn't. That's why none of the MCU heroes have noticed all the characters who look like Stan Lee who turn up whenever something interesting is happening to them. How else would you explain him appearing and always looking the same? And now, thanks to the excellent cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, we know that Lee's unnamed character actually seems to work with the other Watchers, who appear briefly, seemingly interrogating him about his experiences. They don't seem impressed, so he's sent back to continue watching. Number 2. Obadiah Stane is the real Mandarin and works for Hydra. Not only is Obadiah Stane still alive, but he's actually the real Mandarin, and on top of that, he's also another arm of Hydra. Think about it. Stane is somehow able to wield the entire power of the Ten Rings terrorist network, which would be difficult for any leader, but particularly a supposed outside influence. The only explanation is that he's their real leader, and he's still pulling the strings from the shadows. And as for Hydra, well, it all fits perfectly with what Stane says ominously to Tony Stark when he paralyzes him at the end of Iron Man. He says that Tony's arc reactor would help us steer the world back on course, put the balance of power in our hands, the right hands. And how much does that sound like Hydra's entire mantra? Number 1. Hydra manipulated the Avengers to form. Though you'd think that Hydra would be against anything that might lead to their eventual demise, there's a fairly compelling argument that suggests they actively wanted the Avengers to form. They wanted the superheroes to team up in order to wipe them all out at once. How else could you explain the fact that Arnim Zola's superhero algorithm could supposedly pinpoint the trajectory of future superheroes, and yet they still allowed the Avengers to team up? How else do you reconcile the fact that the Avengers Initiative was founded by S.H.I.E.L.D. while under Hydra's infiltrated control? To what end would they create the means of their own destruction if they weren't specifically aiming to create them? The reality is that Hydra knew a superhero future was coming, and they sought to use it to their advantage by dropping the nuke on New York that would handily kill them all in one fell swoop. Obviously it failed, but it's the only way to put all those events together. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the Whatculture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and thanks for watching.